Okay, we finally found Nasrudin, so let's get this encounter started.
What do you want of me? I did not choose to live on this island for its ambience. I chose it so I wouldn't have to entertain fools. Leave me be.
And and I still have to pretend I don't know that's Nasrudin, even though it was so obvious from the journal, and we do an aura check on him, so we know he is Nasrudin. And who might you be?
I'm no one of any importance. Just an old soul who wishes to be left alone. As I have already asked of you, I might point out.
If you could point me towards Nasrudin's grave then.
Ah, searching for the great Nasrudin. Ha! The great Nasrudin. What was so great about him? Damned fool, if you ask me.
Yeah, you seem... Well, how long do I need to keep this going?
What? Sir, I recommend that you show a little more respect to the great elf who saved this world. You are entitled to your own opinions, but I suggest you keep them to yourself.
Quite a fiery young woman, aren't you? And who are you to tell me about Nasrudin? He was little more than bones and bravado, always talking too much, and generally making a mess of things. Worthless old blowhard he was, little more.
Are you trying to provoke me, old man? Because I can tell you right now I'm in no mood for it. One more comment like that about Nasrudin and it will be your last. Do we understand one another?
You know, you're so much prettier when you're not twisting your face up like that. You remind me of a girl I once knew. She was a child, but so very bright for her age. I expected great things out of her.
Really? And who was this girl? Was she elven?
Yes, yes. Beautiful little flower of a girl. She had the most wonderful name. Let's see, what was it? I suppose it would translate to something like the Bright One or the Silver One.
Yes. I also know someone like that. She used to tell me about a great man she once knew. She told me that he taught her a great many things. That he was much like her own father.
Ah, yes. Make sure to pass on my greetings to your mother. She was such a wonderful child. And it seems she has a wonderful daughter as well. Greetings, Princess Raven.
I will pass on your greetings to her. It will make her very happy to know you are here among us. Greetings, Nasrudin.
Nasrud, what? You're not... Yeah. Yeah. You're the dumbest sack of crap in the world. This is a surprise for you.
I would say in all my glory, but I'm afraid I haven't any left.
Yeah, you saved the world from Aranax.
No. I delivered the world to Aranax. I put in place the system that he felt was his for the taking. I even imparted my elven arrogance to him. I must bear full responsibility for his actions.
Yep, a bit dramatic, don't you think? Aranax's actions were his own.
You do not understand. He was my son. I taught him everything. Only to see him be carried away by his youthful temper. I should have seen it. There must have been a way to stop him before it came to what it did.
Yeah, I've heard all the legends. Can you tell me what really happened?
It started in the Age of Legends. I was young, headstrong. I thought I could take on the world, and I did. I fought the good fight to protect the lesser races, as I arrogantly called them, from the chaos that raged everywhere. Dragons, demons, evil sorcerers, I fought them all and won. And this, all before even the days of the Elven Council.
So how did the Elven Council came about?
I gathered a group of idealistic mages together, and we created an Elven Council, for the good of all. We really believed that. For the time, I suppose it was even true. I really believe things began to change when we discovered a way to banish things from this plane of existence.
Yeah, why would that change things?
It was the ultimate weapon. Once something was banished from this plane of existence, it could never return. With ultimate power comes ultimate responsibility.
Spider-Man!
And ultimate corruption. We were quick to use it on new and ever more terrible threats. The Bane of Kree, Krakatur, Gorgoth, Kurgan.
Just power responsibility lines pretty much. It's everywhere. I'm not sure. It's in almost every game I've played that has that some kind of a line about power and responsibility. For a long time I didn't even realize it was in Spider-Man 2. That I guess that made it popular. After it was shown in the movies, everyone started to notice it. Okay, so how did Aranax fit into all this?
Sometime during all this heroic carnage, my son came of age. I quickly ushered him into the council, amidst some of the others' protest about his young age and inexperience. And then it all came crashing down upon me. Look, are you certain you really want to hear all this self-pitying drivel?
Yes, what did Aranax actually do that was so terrible?
He felt himself betrayed when the council condemned his actions. He showed no remorse. In his arrogance, he was sure he would be vindicated. I cast the deciding vote to banish my own son. If I must die, I will be the last, he screamed as he hurled the spell that brought an end to the council, the Age of Legends, and my will to live. It was a harsh dawn that morning on the plains of Brodgar, and it was there in the shadow of the Black Spire that our armies met in the most terrible battle that Arcanum has ever seen. As the sun set, only 4 of us were still alive to witness the destruction we had brought to pass. I found Aranax among the corpses of our decimated armies, and it was there that I condemned my own son to the void. It was only through our combined might that Aranax was subdued, and I watched my own son fall into the horror of the void. But such was the fury and power unleashed by this conflict that the very fabric of reality was torn asunder. With our remaining energy, we were able to seal the rift with powerful wards, and the Ring of Brodgar still stands today as a monument to my son's destructive pride and my own unforgivable failure.
When I regained consciousness, I was on the shore of Thanatos. I'd regained just enough energy to seal myself in a regenerative shell. I remained that way for 1,000 years. No one had ever stayed in a shell for anywhere near that amount of time. Somehow, my magical hibernation extended my life much beyond that of even the most powerful elven mages.
Why have you hidden yourself here for 1,000 years?
The world out there is not mine. It only serves to remind me of my failure. Everyone I knew, everything I held dear is gone. I myself should have died long ago. Besides, I do not fancy being worshipped as a god.
Yeah, I know the feeling. The Panari think I'm your incarnation.
I pity you, then. I received a taste of their hero worship from Mannix, and I can tell you I didn't like the taste of it one bit.
Okay, the same dialogue option twice. That's wonderful. So you knew about Manax and the Panari.
I'm well aware of the whole Panari tomfoolery, yes. When I emerged from my regenerative state, I traveled to the mainland. I suppose I thought I could somehow live among the world again. After I spoke with that Mannix fellow, I knew I was deluding myself.
Didn't you tell him who you were?
After I listened to his insane beliefs, or it seemed like ours, I hinted that I'd actually known Nasrudin. He was already too far gone. He would not have believed any of my protests or denials of my godhood. He most likely would have interpreted the whole thing as some sort of test, I suppose.
Are you aware that Khan Hua murdered Manax?
When Mannix disappeared, I knew that something of that nature must have transpired.
And you did nothing about it?
I decided it was no longer my place to play a god. Who am I to decide who is right? When I took on that role before, well, you have already heard what happened then.
I'm going to need to do something now.
I feel as if I've been waiting to hear those words since I awoke those many years ago. I had hoped it would never come to this. Why, Aranax? Why can't you see the folly of the path you've chosen? What are you going to do about this situation?
Yeah, what am I going to do? He's your son, what are you going to do?
I fear there is nothing I can do. I am old, tired. I do not believe I could stand up against my son now, even if I could find the heart to try.
Something has to be done.
I can think of only one possible strategy to defeat him now. You must retrieve the Vendigroth device that was meant to destroy him.
The Vendigroth device?
And so it was, above ground. There are many catacombs and tunnels lying beneath the surface. Some of the members attempted to retrieve it to use against Aranax, but they never returned. We were forced to battle him without it, and you know the consequence of that.
Okay, what does this device do?
Extremely powerful mages have the ability to regenerate themselves whenever they are badly hurt, as I did. If one is powerful enough to hurt a master sorcerer gravely, the mage will retreat into his regenerative shell and emerge stronger than ever. The device is the only way known to disrupt the regenerating shield.
And disrupting the field kills the mage within.
Quite so. The technology of the device is designed to disrupt the field in such a way as to cause the shell to drain the life force instead of regenerating it. Quite gruesome to contemplate, actually. Further, it is said that one who is killed in this manner is forever separated from this world, with no chance of being returned magically or otherwise.
Yeah, how can I find this device?
You must search the ruins of Vendigroth in the wastes where the city once lay.
Yeah, where can I find the ruins? The wastes are vast, as you know.
I do not know exactly. Those days are long past, and with them a better part of my memory, I'm afraid. All I know is that at one point Vendigroth and its settlements spread out over that whole area now known as the Wastes. There was a bridge leading into the Vendigroth province. Here.
Why don't you retrieve the device?
I must conserve what little remains of my energy to banish you to the void once you have retrieved the device. The banishment spell is rarely performed by a single mage. Its power requirement is so great.
Hold on a moment. You are going to banish me.
Certainly. If we were to wait for Aranax to breach the wards, I fear the loss of life would be immeasurable.
Yeah, seems everything has fallen onto me once again.
The irony of all this is not lost on myself. One might almost believe the prophecies to be true. It does appear that you are instrumental in halting this cataclysm. If only this were not necessary. I had hoped if Aranax ever returned, he would have realized the error of what he had done.
Yep. Judging from my encounter with him, I'd say he had not.
Yes, yes. It is obvious to me that he has committed himself to a path which can only end in his destruction.
What do I do once I retrieve the device?
You must meet me at the site of the wards, the Ring of Broadguard, as they are now known. The barrier between the worlds is thin enough there for me to be able to send you across by myself. I would suggest that you bring as much help as you can recruit, as it will be no easy task to defeat Aranax.
I'll do it, but can you clarify some things for me before I'm off?
What is it that is troubling your thoughts?
Yeah, can you tell me about the others that were banished?
Whose tale of woe would you like to have recounted?
Let's go through these in order. Gorgoth.
Gorgoth's is a simple tale, though disturbingly common in the Age of Legends. He was a mindless beast with an insatiable appetite. He had a liking for halflings, if I recall correctly. Bringing him low took quite a fierce battle, though a mindless one. He could think of nothing to do with him, so he banished him to the void to keep him from wreaking any more havoc. What is it that is troubling your thoughts? Whose tale of woe would you like to have recounted?
Kurgan.
Kurgan was a member of the Council. The only human one, in fact. He was a dabbler, he was, always experimenting and searching for new magics. His discovery of the necromantic arts was the beginning of the end for him. The Council took a dim view of magics that had the ability to manipulate the very life force of a being, and we bade him to stop any further inquiries in that area.
And I'm assuming he didn't.
He totally disregarded our warnings and continued his ghastly experiments. Aranax was assigned to investigate, and turned up the rather disturbing details. Kurgan had been stealing corpses and experimenting with their life forces. What was infinitely more disturbing to me, though, was the vehemence of Aranax's drive to have Kurgan banished rather than simply exiled.
What do you mean by experimenting with their life force?
Kurgan was pulling their spirits back from the other side to attempt to communicate with them, experimenting in different ways to perfect his resurrection magic, and worst of all, casting their life force out of the bodies once again.
Why did Aranax's attitude in regards to all this trouble you?
Our mission was to impartially judge, to rule for the common good, regardless of our personal feelings. Aranax did not even attempt to hide his hatred of Kurgan. Worse, I always suspected that Aranax's hate was based more on the fact that Kurgan was a human on the Elven Council than on the facts of the case.
Did you not think Kurgan's crimes warranted his banishment?
I believe our decision was the correct one. It is just that there is a proper way to conduct oneself, and Aranax was neither unbiased nor objective. I began to have serious misgivings about his membership on the Council after this. The whole Vendigroth situation exploded shortly afterwards, before I could come to a decision about Aranax's role on the Council. What is it that is... Whose tale of woe would you like to have recounted?
Bane of Kree.
The Bane of Kree. Bringing him to justice was what established my reputation as a warrior, which eventually led to legends surrounding me which I had no control over. The Bane was a nomad warrior who was able to gather together nearly all the ancient nomadic tribes and create a vicious army out of them. I became involved when he slaughtered the army of Kree.
And what happened then?
His legendary courage failed him. When faced with certain defeat, he lost his mind and fled back to Kree. He had his army slaughter every man, woman, and child in his desperation. I do not know what he hoped to accomplish by this. When I caught up with him, I was overcome by a bit of the madman myself. I banished him single-handedly in my fury, which is not an easy thing to do, even then. What is it that is troubling your thoughts? Whose tale of
Yeah.
woe would you like to have recounted?
Krakator.
Krakator was a conniving coward who found a way to turn himself into a twisted monster, half man and half dragon. In this form, he terrorized cities and villages, killing their inhabitants and burning them to the ground. After a colossal battle and his defeat at the hands of the council, he cried and begged us not to banish him. Pathetic. What is it that is troubling your thoughts?
Yeah. I think that's it. So, day 2. Is that it? Bendigros device. Beat Nasrudin. And I think we'll end it at here. Next time we'll explore the... No. We'll probably visit Chala. And then go to the Vendigra device. Either way, I'll stop it here.